Welcome to the UiPath Certification Exam Prep. Today, we will go over some test questions in a game show format. A lot of people find the UiPath Certification exam fairly challenging. Today, we're going to go over some exam questions to prepare you for the challenge. You can see how many of them can you answer to gauge your readiness. I am Jenny Mann, a solutions architect at UiPath, and your pop quiz administrator and game show host today. While the exam covers many topics, this video will focus on the ReFramework, which is an important topic and has gotten a few questions on the exam. As a bonus, if you watch till the very end, I will tell you exactly where I got these questions from so that you can better prepare yourself for your exam. Before we begin, let's go over the rules. We will go over 9 questions today, and for each one, you will have 10 seconds to decide on an answer before I reveal what it is. If you got it right, give yourself a round of applause. If you got it wrong, well, now you know the correct answer. Ready? Let's begin. Number 1. A developer has provided the queue folder name value in the config file as well as an input argument as seen in the below screenshot. Which of the two will be used during process execution? Choose one of the options below. Both the config file value and the input argument value, or just the config file value, or just the input argument value. You have 10 seconds. The correct answer is the input argument value. Next up. An ReFramework process that gets a transaction item from a specified orchestrated queue can also make use of the retry number get transaction item and retry number set transaction status parameters from the config file. Choose one of the options below. Yes or no? True or false? You have 10 seconds. The correct answer is yes, this is a true statement. Next up. What are the 2 transitions that leave the get transaction data state? Choose 2 of the options below. Transition, new transaction. Next state, process transaction. Or transition success, next state initialization. Or transition no data, next state end process. Or transition system exception. Next state, end process. Remember to choose 2. The correct answer is the first and third options. Next up. Out of the box, the retry number get transaction item is set in the number of retries option of the retry scope activity. What process behavior does this control? Is it the amount of time between each retry? It takes the value from the one set in the config file, or the number of times that the activity is to be retried. It takes the value from the one set in the config file, or if the automation should continue even when the activity throws an error. Which process behavior does this control? 10 seconds. The correct answer is the number of times that the activity is to be retried. Next up. When building a consumer with the ReFramework which uses orchestrated queues, where would you set the max retry number? Choose one of the options below. In the settings sheet of the config file, in the max number of retries field of the orchestrated queue, in the constants sheet of the config file, or in the constant sheet of the config file along with the max consecutive system exceptions. You have 10 seconds. The correct answer is the max number of retries field of the orchestrator queue. Next up, what will be the status of a job in Orchestrator if the should mark job as faulted parameter is set to true and the maximum consecutive exceptions number is reached? Is it faulted, successful, stopped, or suspended? The correct answer is faulted. Next up, in which workflow does the add log fields activity generate the additional log fields transaction number and transaction ID? Is it retry current transaction, or init all settings, or set transaction status, or process? The correct answer is set transaction status. Next up, a transaction has failed because an input value exceeded the threshold set in the config file. What type of exception has caused the transaction to fail? Is it an application exception or business exception? The correct answer is business exception. Last question. Out of the box, this state first checks if the stop button was triggered in UiPath Orchestrator. In what state is this logic implemented? Is it initialization, get transaction data, process transaction, or end process? The correct answer is get transaction data. Congratulations! You have completed this pop quiz game show, demonstrating your knowledge in the ReFramework and your readiness for the UiPath Certification exam. As promised earlier, I will tell you exactly where I got these questions from. These questions actually all came from the UiPath Academy course, Introduction to Robotic Enterprise Framework. A lot of people didn't know that, even though they have gone over a ton of trainings on the Academy. So make sure you check out this course, review the material, and good luck on your exam. If you find this video helpful and want more exam prep, let me know in the comments. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to this channel for upcoming content on how to start or build a career in tech, how to automate using low-code RPA, how to build real-time low-code data pipelines, and other tech content.
Visit us at uipath.com to learn more.